Who else goes on vacation broke as hell? Because I know I do. But hear me out. Sometimes I feel like it's the best kind of trip when you're like broke.
From being broke. Like, oh my gosh, the thrill of it. Hi, I'm $100,000 in debt, and this is a terrible vacation.
I did, unfortunately.
Book a trip to Iceland. I said it. I did it.
Says, I'd rather be in debt my whole life and travel now because retirement is not guaranteed. Now, the question of the day is, would you go into debt for a vacation? Because according to this U.S. News Money article, what does that say right there in the fine print? 1 in 5 Americans admit that they'll go into debt to afford their summer travel. Well, apparently going on vacation includes credit card debt, Klarna, Afterpay, Affirm. Woo! The majority of Americans, 53% to be exact, say they do not mind going into debt for a new experience. Even though, according to CBS News, most Americans cannot afford a $1,000 emergency expense, it's not uncommon to hear many takes like this on TikTok about people going into debt for a vacation.
Life is too short to not experiencing because you don't have the money right now. Baby, put it on a payment plan. Pay that shit off in 18 months. Book the trip.
And while it's very true that you only live one life, you continue to wake up every day. So ask yourself, do you want to wake up every day wondering how are you going to pay back credit card companies, Klarna, Afterpay, because you went on vacation with a YOLO mindset? I actually think there's nothing wrong with using these services if you're going to be responsible and actually pay them back. But let's be for real, y'all. As soon as some of y'all get the money in your hand, you don't want to talk to nobody. Your stuff's going into collections. And when they start trying to contact you about getting their money back and they are ready to sue you and put your stuff into collections, all of a sudden you don't know how to pick up a phone. And to make it worse, instead of some of y'all paying back the debt, you gonna get on TikTok and try to find a way to get out of being sued for money that you owe.
This is hands down the worst trip of my life. Everything has gone wrong. Everything.
The headline says, hi, I'm $100,000 in debt, and this is a terrible vacation.
Everything has gone wrong. We were supposed to take a cruise, and we ended up missing our cruise because of a medical issue of one of the people in our party. We literally boarded the boat and then got off the boat, checked into some random hotel in Long Beach, took my daughter to the ER, sat there for 6 hours, and it was a ghetto ER.
Not her calling it ghetto.
Everything is fine medically, but we've lost the cruise. We're having to pay this money to stay in a hotel. That's Long Beach. The weather has been absolutely, can you see that? It's hard to see. The weather's been shit the whole time. My mom is on one and pushing literally every button I have. My youngest daughter snores, so I'm not sleeping, which you can see. I'm very cranky, and I've spent more money than I ever intended to, and I just want to go home.
She spent more money than she intended to, and she's already in debt. So let's just use some context clues here, y'all. Do y'all think she had money for hospital bills, the extra stay that she's in the hotel in a location where it's raining, the weather ain't good, her mom driving her up the wall, she ain't getting no sleep, which means she got a whole bunch of expenses that she now did not include in the travel because they done missed the cruise. This is why I say when you don't have money, you shouldn't be going and doing things that you really can't afford to do, because now you spent more money on things that you still can't afford to do.
Today's the last day. I get to go home tomorrow. I've been in my own personal house. So yeah, I have absolutely no money saving advice from what's been happening to me the last few days. Hospital stays and extra hotel stays and all the Ubers because I don't have a car.
The real irony is her name is DebtFree Dreaming. And the first comment, of course, says, I know if I was $100K in debt, the first thing I would do is go on vacation. And what's really interesting is what it says underneath. And it says, I know, right? Ridiculous. I'm sure her bad money decisions are what got her in this jam in the first place. But we're going to give her some grace because we don't know. But the comment underneath needs to be discussed because it says here, she literally has stated previously that it was paid for by somebody else. And you know what? It doesn't matter because unexpected things happen when you're on vacation, and that's the whole point. Just because somebody paid for your vacation doesn't mean that there won't be medical expenses, somebody won't be hospitalized, there won't be an accident, you won't end up somewhere where you weren't supposed to be, where you have to pay for hotels and you got to pay for Ubers because you're supposed to be on a cruise. And this is why you don't go places broke, because imagine being in debt and saying, oh, somebody paid for my vacation, and you go and something happens and you're broke. What are you going to do? You're going to take a credit card. You're going to go find the closest Klarna you can find. So if you're going to go somewhere and plan a vacation, always have a plan A and a plan B and extra resources just in case. Now, the caption of this next video says 140K in debt, but still on vacation. Is anyone else still living life while paying off their debt? And I think that there is a happy medium. I most definitely think you should still be able to live your life, but do things that make sense. For example, if you're swimming in debt, maybe you don't need to go to Costa Rica. Maybe go to a state park or something. Do something that's a little bit more affordable for your price range. And that's one of the biggest things I see people do is when they go on vacation, they go to these crazy locations that are extremely expensive, way out of their price range, and they know it, and they just don't care. Could they have had affordable fun? Yes, but that's not where they wanted to go. They wanted to go where they seen on Instagram, what they seen on TikTok. And y'all, I fear that social media has really done a number on people. Because if you try to tell them to do stuff within their price range, well, I should be able to do that. I should be able to live my life. I should be able to have fun too. And sure, do what you want, but there's always going to be consequences in life for your actions. So make sure you can deal with it.
I may be in $130,000 worth of debt, but I am still taking a vacation and having fun while paying down that debt because I don't see the point of not having a life and just focusing solely on the debt. But I feel like we're in a pretty good position. I did a personal loan to consolidate most of the debt. I kept one card because it's 0% interest.
And again, we can't just be judgmental because she's outside on the sunbed or wherever she's at on vacation. That doesn't inherently mean that she just went over the top, if you get what I mean. It sounds like she has the balance that I'm talking about. But if my girl was out in Jamaica talking about, I'm not paying back the, like, hey, I'm gonna go to Switzerland.
Why be 180K in debt at home when I could be 181K in debt in Hawaii?
Oh, Lord. See, this is what I be talking about. You don't have to go to Hawaii to be on a vacation. And I say that specifically as somebody who's went to Hawaii twice. It is not cheap. I'm not sure why that would be the location of choice, knowing that it is not a cheap location. If you are in debt, if you are actually prioritizing paying off your debt and having a balance between you enjoying your time, but not overdoing it. And she goes on to say here, no, I did not put the trip on a credit card, which is great. Yes, this is the trip that I mentioned. I worked 3 jobs, 80 hours per week. This was mostly prepaid, nothing on credit card. I paid off a credit card last week. All of my payments are up to date, and I budgeted what's in my account for this trip. Then I'm back to the grind of working on getting out of debt. And we gotta look at the comments. The first comment here says, that's the same discipline that got you 80K in debt in the first place. I don't know. Someone else said, enjoy your trip, girl. Also, there are way cheaper options than Hawaii for a vacation. And that's really the thing with me, y'all. I agree 1,000%. I'm glad somebody else said the same thing. But it also is good to hear that she did not go into credit card debt for her trip. It's paid for. And hopefully she doesn't have any extra expenses. But y'all, state parks are lovely. I'm willing to bet in whatever state she lives in, there's probably something she could do there that would be affordable and cheap, possibly even free, that is enjoyable while she's trying to get out of debt. But see, a lot of people don't want to do those things. They want to go to Hawaii. And this next video says, I'd rather be in debt my whole life and travel now because retirement is not guaranteed. All right, let's see.
Y'all are going to be mad at me.
Why?
And I don't think that I care. But I did, unfortunately, book a trip to Iceland. I said it. I did it. I did it. I did.
Iceland, ma'am? Iceland. See, this is what I'll be talking about. Iceland.
Book a trip to Iceland. I said it. I did it. I did it. I did. I did book a trip to Iceland. In my defense, I was going to go to Boston. I was going to do a trip in Boston. Still might. Still might. Who knows? The world is my oyster. But I was going to do a trip to Boston. I was looking at flights. They were like $300 and something to go to Boston. And to go to Iceland, it was only $500 round trip. Makes perfect sense to me. Because why fly across the country when I could go to a different country for only like $150 more? Like, come on. And if anyone thought that I would give up a $500 flight to Iceland, they're crazy. Because normally like $1,000 minimum. With Delta, I have like 8,000 miles. So I was like, oh, maybe I can fly to like, my flight is going to be from here to Minneapolis to Iceland. I was like, oh, maybe with my miles, I can fly from here to Minneapolis and then just get the flight from Minneapolis to Iceland. It might be cheaper. Tell me why, if I were to get a flight from here to Minneapolis, it was like my 8,000 miles plus like $15 or whatever. But from Minneapolis to Iceland, one way, not round trip, one way was $400 and something. One way, $400 and something on the same date. The same flight I'm taking from here to Iceland is $500 round trip, but the one way from Minneapolis to Iceland was 400 something. It didn't make sense. So I was like, I'm going to save my miles right there. Saving my miles on that one. And I paid for it with my Delta credit card, so I will be getting more miles from that. I am going to be renting a car because it's like near impossible to get around Iceland without a car. When I went to Italy, we rented a manual car because it's like $1,000 cheaper to rent a manual car because they're so much more common in Europe than they are in the United States. It's becoming apparent that it's like the same thing in Iceland. It's going to save me like $200 and something. I don't know if that's worth the stress of remembering how to drive a manual, but I'll figure it out. The $200 could be 4 nights in a hostel. And that's how I'm thinking of it. Or save all the money altogether, sleep in my car. Done it before, wouldn't be opposed.
When you are traveling in other countries, it is so important to think about how much is your dollar going to stretch over there. Would you have been better in Boston? I don't know, but that is part of planning the trip. To be fair, I can understand where her logic came from with, hey, this flight is just $200 more than me going to Boston, so I can just go to Iceland. But what she did not factor in is Iceland is expensive. What you can do with your dollar is going to depend on where you're at and where you're going, where you're traveling. And one of the top comments in this video is, as a 38-year-old, I only regret not traveling more when I was younger. And money isn't real. All right, I just filed bankruptcy and now I'm debt free and my credit score is going up. There was too many red flags in that comment for me to take it serious. And somebody else is saying you can file for bankruptcy. Here's my thing. Let's be proactive, not reactive. And what I mean by that is, instead of making bad financial decisions and then just saying you don't care, you're only young once, you only get to live once, all these YOLO, FOMO, instead of buying into all of those ideas, what if you just became financially responsible so you wouldn't have to file bankruptcy, so you wouldn't have bad credit for 7 years or whatever it is, so you wouldn't have to worry about not being able to get an apartment because you filed bankruptcy, or you can't even finance an oven, you can't finance a car, you can't finance anything, and then you're going to say stuff like, oh, I can't get approved for anything. They won't approve nobody around here. No, they won't approve you. And I'm not saying I have anything against people that need to file bankruptcy because that's where they are financially. I can understand. But let's not make bad financial decisions just to say, hey, I can file bankruptcy later. So why try? Why do the right thing? Let's not do that. That's not going to end well for a lot of people with that mindset. You have more power than you think. You can learn how to budget. You can learn how to be better with money. You can learn to say, hey, if I want to go on a trip, maybe I don't have to go on a trip just because I'm going to file bankruptcy and just not think about anything. Maybe I can plan for the trip. Maybe I can figure out how much money I need for the trip. And another thing I wanted to quickly talk about was she was saying that retirement is not guaranteed. And she is correct. Nothing is guaranteed. But you should also try to be a good steward of the resources you have. Because when you're not a good steward of the resources you have, aka money, you tend to not keep it very long. And that comes with a whole nother host of issues. There has to be balance though. And doing what you can afford within that balance.
I don't know. Maybe I have the wrong idea about it. Y'all keep saying debt this, debt that, save this, save that.
Did she say debt? Like Johnny Depp? I gotta hear it again.
Maybe I have the wrong idea about it. Y'all keep saying debt this, debt that, save this, save that. The whole thing is like, I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's my personal experience. I just know too many people that didn't even make it to 30, literally. So, like, I'm not saying I shouldn't save for the future. I shouldn't have a retirement plan. I shouldn't put up 401, all this other that's nice. Great. Nice. But the thing is, like, you need to live life now, I feel like, personally. I'm never going to get this time back. I'm never going to get these years back. I'm never going to get this year back. So you have to save up for a vacation that might take me 5 years to save up for. And then what happens when I get to that 5-year mark and I can no longer do it? Things are way more expensive, so that's just out of the question. We got some type of crazy ban where we can't leave the country, or I'm just not in a physical shape or mental shape to even be able to travel. I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm irresponsible. I have no clue. I just know that if I can make a way to make sure it happen, I'm going to make it happen. And to me, experiences are more important than any of this material and saving up, retirement funds, all this. I just don't care about that right now. I'm sorry, I don't. Like, savings, yeah, cool, fine, dandy. But like, for me personally, I feel like this country's already just going as is, and it's like crazy expensive to live here. So like, for me, I know y'all saying like, oh, you need to save up, expenses, bills, emergency funds, all this stuff, 401k, you want to retire, you want to pay down your debts. I don't know. I'll change my name and move out the country, and y'all will never see me again. I don't know. Maybe I have the wrong idea.
Maybe I'm tripping because I thought she said that she's not saying that those things weren't important, but then didn't she later say she don't care about it?
So, like, I'm not saying I shouldn't save for the future. I shouldn't have a retirement plan. I shouldn't put up 401, all this other that's nice. Great. Nice. But
like, ma'am, which one is it? Do you care or do you not? But the whole thing is giving a little wishy-washy for me. What I would like for a lot of y'all to realize is results may vary. People's lives and what happens, if they don't have any crazy circumstances and stuff like that, because I know sometimes life just happens to people, but generally speaking, if you are just going through life, you and your peers have different decisions that you have made in your lives to get you where you are. And this is why a lot of people look over at other people and they're like, how are they doing so well? How are they able to do that? They're making different decisions than you. I'm not saying they're all good decisions, but I'm saying there are different decisions being made. They all don't think like you. They all don't have the same mentality as you. So as you get older, you may see people that you grew up with or your peers doing stuff and you're just like, how? Well, ask yourself, what were you doing when you were younger? I'm being dead serious. I have seen people do stuff when they were younger and it caught up to them later. And when you're in your 20s or you're 19, 18 in that age range, you're not really thinking it's going to matter. You're not going to think that that's going to be the thing to really set you back, or your mindset and how you see stuff is why you're going to be way behind. It'll be the I don't care mentality. It'll be, well, I should just be able to do what I want now. Like, I don't know what And then 10 years later, you get what you get. These are the results of how you were thinking, the results of your mindset. So results may vary. The top comment here says, girl, forget them. I've been on 5 trips this year with 3 more planned. Them bills and responsibilities will be there when I get back. This the only life I know I'll have. I'm going to enjoy it to the fullest. As long as my rent paid. They said they do not give a F about the rest. As long as your rent is paid, that's enough. And here's a great one. I used to think like this. Now I'm 31 in the military, fixing mistakes I made in my 20s. What did I just say? I have never went in this comment section, but what did I just say? Please get serious with your life because fun time will always be there. But set yourself up for the life you want. How hard is it, y'all? How hard is it? Y'all, some of y'all are making it hard right now. I don't know what age you are. Just know I'm talking to you. You're making it hard right now. Stop it. Get serious. What the young folks say, lock in. Lock in. If you would just lock in for 90 days. And I love this comment right here. Can there be a happy medium? Enjoy things now while also saving for the future. Exactly. Y'all are acting like you can't do both. Do both of them. And every time America don't pay enough. Here's the thing. If it's not paying enough, you got a few options. Cut back on your lifestyle, which a lot of y'all don't want to do. Y'all don't want to do that because you think you should be able to live how you want to live and do what you want to do. Or you got to make more money. You got 2 choices. You got 2 of them. But sitting there complaining that, oh, I don't have enough ain't going to get you more. You're going to stay right where you're at. And then guess what? You're going to use Klarna and Affirm and go run up 26% credit card debt. Because you're not going to budget. You're not going to plan. It's really like you can do this the easy way or you can do it the hard way. That's how I see it. You can live how you want to live when you're young or do it right now, however you want to do it and just don't think about it, but you're going to end up having to pay for it later. Or you can do it vice versa. Which one do you want? And I love this. And I know I keep on going, but I love this comment too. You're making excuses. Living life doesn't mean putting yourself in a terrible position. People were just telling you to balance. And I have to agree, people are using the excuse of, I don't know if I'm going to make it through tomorrow, to just be doing dumb stuff. Y'all are out here using girl math, saying stuff that don't even make sense just to justify the bad decisions. No, you're running from accountability. You're running from responsibility. That's very childlike. What they say, lock in.
Speaking of traveling, who else goes on vacation broke as hell? Because I know I do. I'm going to Bali in a few days.
See, Bali. You're going to Bali broke? Y'all don't want to go to the dang pond. Go catch you some fish and then release them back or something. You know, y'all want to do that. Y'all want to go to the Smoky Mountains. Y'all want to be up there with Yogi Bear. Y'all don't want to go to the Grand Canyon. Y'all go to Bali broke. How would going to another country broke ever make sense? See, some of y'all going to try to justify it. It don't. It will never make sense. That's the worst place to be broke at because if you have an emergency over there, you don't have access to the same resources as you do in the States. So why would you go there broke?
Girl, when I booked this trip, I was supposed to have a job. Booked this trip like last year. So I expected like everything would be normal. I freelance for a startup and there's always risk associated with that. But when I least expected it, my client was like, yeah, we're done. So like come May. And once again, going on a vacation broke. I didn't think that this would happen. But hear me out. Sometimes I feel like it's the best kind of trip when you're like broke. I remember I used to do this all the time in college. Like I didn't book flights because I had the money. I just conjured up whatever I could find and I went on a trip with like $100 in my bank account. And it gives you like such a sense of adventure. I'm not suggesting that everyone do this, but it's worked out for me so far. Like I took this really expensive like study abroad trip in college to Australia and it was probably like one of the best trips of my life. And to me, that's why it's like so worth it. Cause I'm like, you're never going to regret traveling. And I'm sure as hell not going to regret going to Bali. So I'm kind of excited and, looking forward to what adventures are to come. Did pay for everything, like most things in advance. Obviously the flight, we paid for like most of the hotel. So there's not much else to pay for. I'm just going to really try to budget with all the like activities and food that we do. It shouldn't be too hard because Bali is actually very inexpensive when you get there. The flight is probably the most expensive thing, but other than that, it's like good. Australia was different because it is kind of like normally priced over there. So I was really living on a prayer. But if you're up for it and you have that kind of character development that can get through like not having money on vacation and like make it a moment, I kind of highly suggest it. It kind of shows you like how fun and crazy life can be. A lot of times you'll be surprised how you're able to make things work and how you'll survive.
Getting an adrenaline rush from being broke is nuts. That's like the wildest thing I've heard in a while. Y'all are getting dopamine hits from being broke. Like, oh my gosh, the thrill of it. If anything bad happens, I'm just done for. It's something about it. What? Are y'all like, is this an adult? Because what?
I feel like it's the perfect time because I am not going to have a job and I'm not planning on getting another job because I'm really trying to pursue my own business. So it's like, this is the perfect vacation time. I don't have to like come back to like so much work because our work is basically scaling down. So I feel like I'll actually be relaxed. Maybe that's why I'm really excited about this vacation and I haven't been excited about vacations in a long time. We'll see. I'm definitely going to be vlogging and taking you guys along with me.
The fact that she's saying she's going to be vlogging and taking them with, like, who is this trip for, ma'am? Don't go broke trying to impress social media. Because I promise you, when stuff ever hit the fan, they're not going to be there for you. They're going to be like, remember, you was at Bali. You could afford the trip. That's what people are going to do. The moment you get in a bind and you're saying that you're going somewhere broke, why would you go there broke? Yeah, they're going to judge you for that. They don't want to hear nothing about, oh, my car broke down. I'm falling on hard times. No, you made financial decisions that were terrible before, and now they giving you the side eye, and rightfully so.
Just because you're considered poor doesn't mean that you can't travel. That's one thing that really infuriates me. You need to tell me I can't plan a trip that I could make payments on. Like, you don't know how people are traveling. You don't know. So I feel like it's not just because you're in a better position than the other person. It's not your place to judge them or get mad at them for traveling just because they may went to Jamaica. And then now when they're like 3 months down the line or 6 months down the line, they may be in a financial bind and actually for help and then you want to throw that in their face. Like, that is not okay with me. So
see, this is what I'm talking about. You go to somewhere like Jamaica, you get in a bind, and then you're asking other people for help, and you're like, only God can judge me. Like, y'all ain't heard about righteous judging. They're not judging you because that's something that they did that was irresponsible, and they weren't being good stewards of their money, and they're saying the same thing about you. No, they're saying that because you did something that was irresponsible, and now they're telling you, hey, I'm not comfortable giving you my money. Now they're judging you. See, because why you had to go to Jamaica? See, going to places that are foreign, more expensive than your home state. But no, that's not enough thrill for y'all. That's not enough aesthetic for y'all. Y'all need the Instagram, the Pinterest picture. If it's not worthy of all of that and putting it up on a TikTok so other people can be envious, y'all don't really want to go those places. You don't see the same value in it. You could probably go to another state over or a few states over and have a great experience for way cheaper. But that's not what y'all want to do. Y'all want to go to these destination locations and get mad that people are like, hey, you probably shouldn't have went there.
Part of me feels because I'm not in that quote unquote higher class gets. I ain't saying I'm gonna ever be there, baby. I'm gonna be there, but not yet. I don't feel comfortable like posting pictures or even doing a lot of videos because I honestly feel that people in my family, or, you know, I'm not calling no names, but they want to throw it in your face. Like, let's say like you wanted a trip. You wanted to do a trip. You've been planning this girl's trip with your best friend. And times are hard, but you know, you're managing your bills, and then you also managing the trip to pay off the trip. You pay off the trip, you go on the trip, have a good time. And let's say a hurricane comes, or all of a sudden you become unemployed because the company closed. You are in a financial bind, and then you need help. And then when you ask for that said help, they want to throw it in your face like, didn't you just go to Jamaica like 4 months ago?
Yeah.
I was mad. Didn't you do this? Like, why are you mad?
Yeah.
Why just because I'm quote unquote low income right now, why can't I enjoy life as you enjoy life?
I'm honestly confused why she confused, because I'm gonna be objective here. I can understand what she means by, hey, if a hurricane came and like swept up my house, like that amount of damage and that amount of resources that you might have to put forward for that, you might have not had that even if you didn't go to Jamaica, right? So I can get what you're saying on that. But here's the thing. Let's say your stuff didn't get hit by no hurricane, but you just like, hey, I'm falling a little bit behind on bills. That's usually what happens. Let's be for real. How many of y'all know somebody that they done went on all these trips and then for some reason their basic bills ain't getting paid? Their car note that they have every month didn't get paid. They don't know where they're going to get the money for their insurance. Or let's just say you caught a flat tire or something like that. You have a responsibility as an adult, not a child, to make sure that you can afford those things. And going and taking trips and doing stuff like that, knowing that you can afford the basic things that you need or a basic emergency, not having any sort of excess money left over after you go to your trip because you done dried your wallet up, going to these places that you probably really couldn't afford because you're quote unquote low on money or you're low income or you can't really afford to be out there, but you went anyway when you could have went somewhere cheaper. That's why they're giving you the side eye. What is confusing about that? Do what you can afford to do, not what you want to do because you see everybody else do it. Do what you really can afford. That means looking at how much you make, how much you can save, how much you can spend, and how much you can have left over in case some stuff gets real in your real life after you come back from a vacation. Because yeah, you're still an adult. You were always going to have to figure out how you will get out of these situations, regardless if you went on that trip or not. You going on trips doesn't mean that you ain't going to have a life circumstance come up after that. It can happen. You don't just go on a trip and then run yourself dry.
Maturing is realizing that when you book a trip, you're not just budgeting for like the flight, the hotel, what you're going to do while you're there. No. You have to budget for the pre-Sephora haul, all the little knick-knack things that you need on Amazon, your Monday through Friday outfits, because obviously you want to look cute and feel your best while you're there. You're on vacation. You get good content. You get your nails done beforehand, all these separate line items. And usually those end up being more than the flight itself. So that's cool.
And again, not only is the pre-prep for the trip or the vacation so expensive for a lot of people, because a lot of y'all be overdoing it. Y'all got to get new clothes, new everything, eyelashes, hair extensions, hair done, nails done, everything. And then guess what? Here we have a comment that supports what I just said about the last video. Also, having enough money after you return back to real life. You can't go and maximize all of your money and then get back broke and then be like, oh, I had this little bill. I just help me out with the light bill. No, that's part of being an adult. You also know that it's getting hot outside and your AC bill's about to be a little bit hotter than normal. And it doesn't matter that you aren't home. Your stuff was still running. It don't matter what you was going through. You still have to be an adult. So if you're not ready to be an adult when you come back from your vacation, then maybe you should just delay the vacation or maybe just consider going somewhere else that's a little bit more affordable so you have resources left when you come back. I just got to point out this comment, but maturing is understanding that the people you see on vacation ain't seen your old clothes. Stop going broke doing all these hauls. These people don't know you from Adam and Eve. And they're not going to remember you when you leave. And nobody really cares what your outfit of the day was when you was on vacation. Just grow up. Get some stuff out the closet. Y'all stop making it harder than it need to be. Live your life for you. Stop worrying about what Instagram, TikTok, and everybody else say. Just do you. And as always, do what you can afford. But I need to know, what are you planning to do for the summer and how much money are you planning to spend? Would you or will you be going into debt for vacation? Have you ever did it? And do you have any regrets? And tell me, what do you think about people going on vacation broke? But we have to start making better decisions today in order to have a better future.